Today we're going to be making a liquid effect using an awesome effect called Turbulent Displace. It's super easy to make and you can use it for anything like logo animations, title sequences. You can fill up a coffee cup, maybe a margarita, like whatever you want. And yeah, it takes literally under 5 minutes to build something like this. So let's get into it. So first of all, what we want to do is just create a new composition. So you can create a new composition down here, or you can create new composition from up here, or you can right mouse click and click new composition. So I always just tend to click this little guy here, and we can call this liquid effect, make it 1080 by 1080. Doesn't matter if it's 29.97 frames or 30 frames. This is something that came about in the history of television when they were introducing color. So it's, yeah, I just wouldn't pay attention to that. And your duration, you can make this as quick as you like or as slow as you like. I always just go with 5 seconds for any GIFs. So let's go with that. The background doesn't really matter what color you have it because we can always put in a shape after, and we're going to have the transition that goes over, which will give us our background color. So the first thing we want to do is right mouse click, click new shape layer. So as soon as you click new shape layer, this is going to be activated. Everyone's will be different. So in this instance, I do want a rectangle, but if you don't want whatever shape that you've got on it, it could be an ellipse or a polygon, you click and hold down here and then you can get your rectangle. So we want to draw a rectangle that is a bit bigger than our scene because we're going to have this going across our scene from the left to the right. So let's just fill this in whatever color you like. This is probably my favorite color, just baby pink, pretty stereotypical as a girl. So let's just pull this shape to the left hand side. So as you can see, I've just manually moved it around with my mouse. Otherwise, you can click on this shape layer and just use your right and left arrows on your keyboard. If you click shift as well whilst clicking your right and left arrows, it moves it a bit faster. So let's say we want to move it to here. Then we want to click P on our keyboard, which will drop down our position property. If you don't want to click your keyboard, I always do keyboard shortcuts. You can always drop down your accordion here, and then in your transform options, you've got position. So this blue ticker is my best friend. So I use this for everything. I shift and click, which it snaps to certain keyframes. I use it as a guide. Say, for instance, I was making a really complex music lyric video and I wanted to bookmark different transitions at different points in the timeline. I always use this as like a little guide, and then I just drag one of these tabs from the side and just make markers like this. So over time, getting used to After Effects, you'll definitely use a lot of this. Blue ticker is what I call it. It's my made up name. So firstly, let's put in a position keyframe here at the start. And you'll see our blue diamond has appeared. So now let's say at 2 seconds, we want the complete transition. So we now want this square or rectangle to end up here at 2 seconds. So if we go back, there we'll see it ends up 2 seconds in the place that we want it to be. So now we've got that transition in there. Click into your effects, and I've already typed in Turbulent Displace, but you can type in Turbulent Displace here. So I always keep my effects in the right hand side here, just as it's convenient. If you don't have it there, just make sure effects and presets is ticked in your window drop down. So with Turbulent Displace, you can click, drag this on top of the shape layer, which is where we want to apply it, or you can click and drag it on top of your shape layer here in your timeline. So whatever works for you. you'll end up by habit having your preference. So now that we've dropped that effect onto our shape layer, you can see here that it's appeared in our effect controls, and you'll also see that it's appeared in our shape layer drop down here. So we've got Turbulent Displace. So having it here in your interface of After Effects is super helpful. So I always have it on the left here. If you don't have it in yours, you can click Window and then Effect Controls, Shape Layer 1. So that will appear there when it's checked. So the first thing we want to do is change this displacement from turbulent to twist. And as you can see here already, we've got our little effect in place. And the other side note as well is this half resolution, I would strongly advise to even go half or lower, because After Effects uses a significant amount of memory, and when you've got a lot happening in your scene, it will just lag the playback. So this little green line across here means that it's all buffered and you can play back. So I'm sure with YouTube and Netflix, everyone's pretty clear on what buffer means. So you want to see this green line in After Effects. As you can see here, this is all just loading across. So if I click Shift to play it all, that's fine because it's all loaded, but you wait and see when you make complex animations, this is just going to go slow and slow and slow. It could take half an hour to load your animation just to view it. So just make your resolution 1/4. Will save you a lot of time in the future. So the next thing we want to do is increase the amount. And with our evolution, we want to set an expression. So if you drop down your Turbulent Displace here, on the evolution, you hit Alt or Option and then the keyframe. And then let's type in time with a little star, 200. So we can see here that it's a little bit more intense and it's got that evolution in place. So super simple. We just want to now duplicate this layer, move it forward to say 5 frames, change the color. Up here, make it whatever color you like. Again, really stereotypical of me. And there you go. And then you can just keep it coming. You can make as many as you like. You can make them closer together, further apart, whatever floats your boat. Alrighty. We're getting there. Let's add a bit of purple for a bit of funk. And there you go. So now that we've got that liquid transition reveal effect in place, what do we do if we want it to fill up text or fill up an object? So let me just draw a very rough coffee cup. So I click New Composition, Coffee Cup, 5 seconds, 1080 by 1080. And I want to create a new shape layer. And with my pen tool, just going to create a pretty rough coffee cup. I mean, if you're laughing at me, that is great because so you should be. And let's put a handle on our cup. Look at that masterpiece. It is quite cute. So an example of a coffee cup. So let's now put this coffee cup into our liquid effect composition. Now what we want to do is grab this shape layer that we've already applied our effects to and duplicate it again. Now what I want to do is rotate this and change the position. So instead of going from left to right, we want to go from bottom to top. So I click the letter U on my keyboard, which brings up all the movements that we've applied to this specific shape layer. So I'll go back to my position here, and I want to change this to be right underneath. So on your first keyframe, I would move it to about here. I'd probably even delete this one and then rotate this 90. So you can use your keyboard, which is what I was doing, but it is super fast to just grab it with your cursor and just make sure that you've selected your selection tool up here, your little arrow, and just move this to below the coffee cup. Now with our position, we've got that in place. We want to drag our blue ticker to where we want it to be completely filled, and then we drag the liquid to above the coffee cup. So as you can see, nothing has happened, and it's also black. So first of all, let's say we want to change our coffee to be green, so it's like a slimy coffee. And then we want to have a shape layer which is masked within the coffee cup. So if your toggles are not showing a track matte, make sure you click this button here and it will appear. So we want to have this as an alpha matte within the coffee cup. So here you can see it's filling up the coffee cup. Make this bigger. And there you have it. And you can of course change this to whatever color you like. You can have it match your transition behind. So we can have this all filling up pink. And then again, we can duplicate these shape layers and mask it within the coffee cup again and again and again. And then we will have that exact same transition. So if we were to do that, I would copy and paste my coffee cup. I would also copy and paste my shape layer, bring it below the coffee cup, and then just like we've been doing previously, I would delay this time a little bit, change the color, and there you have it.